In this video, I am actually taking my client that was in my very first video where he took her really blonde. We are now taking her darker for fall. She wants to do a darker root, fade it into a lighter blonde. I do start with the cut first. She's taking a few inches off for health. So I want to do that dry rough cut before I do anything else. That way we're not using any more color than we need. I just kind of pull. I started to cut before recording. But what I did is I pulled the sides to the front, cut to the length that we wanted. Then I pulled those sides back and used those as my guideline and met both the sides together while cutting in a straight line across. I did that while her hair was up because I wanted to make sure where the length was. Then right here I had her put her hair down. Went back through and cut those pieces you see that kind of were hiding underneath. That is why, when you do a haircut, it is always best to check it when it's dry if you're doing it wet. I will also be critiquing it a little bit when it is wet after we do her color. But right now I just want to get everything off. And a few seconds ago when I said hair up and hair down, I meant head. I was trying to block my two teenage girls out that were screaming in the background. Sorry about that. The layers I just pull up and I just trim the dead couple inches off. I'll show you how I just connect the top layers together with the bottom without taking out too much bulk, because I want to keep the fullness in her hair because it's really fine, but I still need to blend. When I section the hair off, I also make the section partings uneven because I don't ever want any straight lines, perfect lines in the hair when I do a color melt or a balayage. I feel as though it helps everything blend in a lot better and a lot easier. Zag parting, because of that picture she showed me, you can tell that it has a lot of shadows with the blonde peeking out. And this, I just find that this is a great way to do it. I'm sure there are other ways, and I use my zigzag pattern a lot, but nothing is really uniform and even these days, and it works for me well. The formula I am using is Redken Shades Cream, as usual. I'm using it's a 5WB and then a 4 Mocha. I also add in a couple inches of 5G, an inch of 6C, and an inch of 5RR to add back those undertones in her hair because we went so blonde last time. And I don't want this color to end up drabby since she wants to be warmer. She wants to go darker for fall now, and I want to keep it really mocha. And in my head, when I hear mocha, I think of a really warm color, a nice rich Hershey bar color. And if I don't add the undertones back in there, we won't get that. I'm going to start at the base in every section, and this first section underneath, I bring the color all the way through to the ends. This is the only section that I do that with. I want to keep everything else pretty blonde. Her ends all blonde, except for here. It's just nice to have that darkness underneath there. That way it doesn't feel like it's overly blonde on the ends. This next section, I just added quite a bit of color. I want to make sure it saturates really well. And you see here I'm softly blurring it down with my fingers, pinching it between my middle and my ring finger, then dragging them down in a swift motion while quickly opening them before I get to the end. You'll want to cover each section with a foil. Just clip it on the side with a duckbill clip like this to help it stay. And then every section I put just another foil right over top of it and use those same clips to keep it in place. That way you don't have the hair you're bringing down touching the previously colored hair. A lot of times that's where you'll get your spots that show up and you're like, what the heck? Where'd that come from? Well, that's usually why. And then another reason is lack of saturation. Always make sure you're using enough color. Get it in there. This section here I don't bring down as far as the other one. I just bring down little pieces like this, a little bit further, and then I use my finger to smudge it in. After you're done with the color, you'll see that what I do is go back through and look at the color that's been oxidized already, see how it's turning out. if I can see any spots or any place where it's not saturated, where I blurred it in, to kind of not have that spotted cheetah look. It's really annoying when you get all done with the color and rinse it out and then you notice it. Just go back through and do it before you rinse it. So here I'm just basically riching the root and blurring the line right there. I'm keeping the majority of this section blonde. So here I decided that I did not bring a couple sections down far enough. Sometimes I just kind of start doing color and then I think to myself, this is not going to match up the way the sectionings are laying. I need to add more depth. So I just go back and do it. Notice how I pull the section up also and make sure it's saturated underneath. Her hair is really fine, but I still want to make sure that the color is getting pushed all the way through to the other side, because sometimes it's not. Since in this section I brought the color down quite a bit further, I ended up having to put longer foils underneath it to avoid it from touching the hair underneath. Since I added a lot of depth to the section below this one, I want to keep this a little bit brighter on top here. I'm basically going to just blur in that line and then go down about an inch or so past it. And then the section I bring down after that, the top one there, I will basically just be blurring in that line of demarcation of the color, the highlight that's growing out. This way it'll have the look of the peaks and valleys that I'm going for. So it pops the blonde on top out by having the dark underneath. I section the hair around the face out of the way because I want to keep that brighter, and I'm not going to put the dark on there at all. I will be using the toner there to help, that's going to help blend that in. First section I dropped down, I'm going to bring quite a bit far down, not all the way down like I did underneath, because I don't want it to be too dark here. However, I do drag the color down further on the left side as opposed to the right side. Doing so helps blend in any lines and gives the color a melting look. I'm still making an uneven section, dropping it down, like I'm zigzagging my rat tail comb as I section it off. When you do that, it just helps cut down any harsh lines. It makes the section uneven. So if you do it straight across, then the color might look straight across. But when you do a zigzag parting or an uneven weave or whatever, it helps it blend in a lot better. A simple way to blur your line a little bit better is to turn your brush vertically and sweep down like I'm doing here. As I get to the top, I don't bring the color through the hair as far. So as the color processes, I can kind of go back and see where the color, kind of what it's going to look like when the color is rinsed out. And I can tell it's not going to be blended in as well. So I just take my brush vertically and bring it down in some spots. So after shampooing her hair, I did not add rinse out conditioner. I just shampooed her, brought her over to the chair, towel dried her very, very well. Now I have two formulas for the toner. This underneath section, I do use the darkest formula all the way through to the ends. However, the other sections are melted together. The first formula that I just did here is a mixture of 7NW, 6NB, and 6WG in the shades Gloss. I want the tone to be a warmer color. That's why I'm using the natural beige and the natural warm. The NWs in glosses have a gold undertone. The WGs have an orange-yellow undertone. So I did add a little bit of that WG just because I do want the orange part to work as a filler, and I want it to have a warmer gold beige undertone look. So that's where I got the NW and the NB from. Now the N's formula is the same shades gloss, but it's 9 NW, 9G, and a cap full of 9 RB. Again, I want the look of an NW, but I add a little more gold to it with a 9G because I know those ends are going to suck it right up. And if I put any beige or neutrals on there, it will grab more ashy or drabby. So I have to be really careful. I know that the 9NW has, neutral warm. However, it's a gold undertone and base, so it has mainly gold in it. That's why it's going to work well. I use more of the 9G than anything else. Now, the reason I use the 9RB is not because I want to add a red tone. I just want to add the red in there a little bit as a filler, just so it doesn't take too drabby. It's just kind of assurance, I guess. Her hair is quite porous. Both toners had Olaplex added to them. The color sat on the hair for 20 minutes altogether. At the bowl, I lightly shampooed, towel dried, added step 2 from Olaplex that sat on the hair for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, I rinsed, lightly shampooed again, did a nice deep conditioner, let that sit for about 5 minutes. As usual, I want to keep it brighter on the face, so along the hairline, I just take the darker toner, tap it at the root, and smudge it down just to where the blonde begins. Just blend in that line, and then run the lighter color through the ends. Here's what it looked like while it was processing. I did run a wide tooth comb through it while it sat, so it had a more even blend. This is how it looks while it's straight. It's really blended in and soft with a lot of dimension and movement. I took some pictures out in the sun to show you how the difference from the inside can be and the outside. This is the inside. Still really pretty, very caramely, love it. And her before and after, she loved it. We're very, very happy. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and let me know what else you would like to see. Bye.